All right, welcome back to the Green Line Gazette, episode 20. Today we're going to be breaking down the U.S.'s game tomorrow versus Turkey, along with a couple other things going around the World Cup. Remember, we are on Apple, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube, so listen in or watch in, whatever you want to do. Give me a follow over on Instagram at Green Line Gazette if you want to stay updated with all the content I'm putting out. And I mean, without further ado, we might as well get right into this one. Very unique situation that the United States has never been in before. So this is very new for all those who do not know. With the results from the second match week, obviously the U.S. beats Australia 2-0, and then Paraguay beats Turkey 1-0, and that was a 10-man Paraguay, by the way. Thus, the U.S. tops Group D. No matter what happens, we can't be removed from first place of Group D. So we have qualified for the knockouts as a top seeded team from a group. Conversely, with Turkey's 1-0 disaster loss to Paraguay, and then their, I believe, 2-0 loss to Australia in game week 1, they have also been eliminated and have no chance at trying to make third place. No matter what happens, they could win by 9 goals tomorrow and still be eliminated in first place going home, not seeing the knockouts as a UEFA dark horse. Unfortunate for them, because I know there was a lot of hype around this. And I mean, I gotta say, it's a weird position because, I mean, I would have loved to play Turkey in a competitive game. They were a really hyped team that people had a lot of respect for. If we were able to handle them, properly, that would do huge things for US PR and whatnot. And I think it would be a good win against a really good opponent. So it kind of stinks that this game is basically null and void no matter what. We'll get into who we're going to start and what Turkey's going to do. So one, like it's tough because you only get, a finite amount of World Cup games, and to have one of those group stage games basically be a friendly, which is, I guess, exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a friendly, kind of stinks. Of course, on the other hand, I mean, how lucky and privileged are we that we have topped the group for the first time ever. We are locked into the knockouts. Actually today, Bosnia beat Qatar 3-1, so we have a 99% chance of facing Bosnia in the round of 32. We'll get into that later. But again, it's great that we've secured a top seed, I guess, for lack of a better term, with this new format. But at the same time, it stinks that we're basically playing a friendly on home soil, in a World Cup that we're hosting. But glass half empty, glass half full. I'm going to look at it in the way that we are so lucky to be able to, be in the position that we're in, to finally have things going the right way, that I'm more than happy to be playing a friendly on Thursday night in a World Cup game, if it means we've gone through the knockouts on top. So I'll digress from that tangent. Getting into what's going to happen tomorrow. Today they announced Pulisic is fully healthy for the game, which is great news. I think they'll give him a little bit of run time, right? You want to make sure he's fit, want to get him back on his feet, feeling comfortable, whatnot. I mean, he hasn't played since the first half of that Paraguay game, which will basically be 2 weeks ago. I mean, and, to be honest, I don't have it off the top of my head. I think it might be Sunday. Just give me a moment. When do World Cup knockouts start? Let's see. Yeah, June 28th. So if you don't play him come tomorrow, he's basically going to have sat from almost 3 weeks, right? From June 12th, probably more like 2.5. Basically, June 12th to the 28th or whenever we play. I think it's, I understand he's coming off that injury and you want to be very careful with it, but I think it's pretty critical that you give him real game time instead of letting him rest and only train for 2 to 3 weeks. You want him full and ready to go, and I think by the way you do that is, you ease him back onto the pitch, back into the system, and you give him a little bit of game time tomorrow. So I guess that brings us right into What I mean, Poch hasn't said too much about it, so what I would do and what I think will happen is you're gonna kinda get a 1B, 2A lineup here. It's gonna be starters mixed in with depth players, but the depth players that will be playing probably have a real chance. They're probably the second guy on the depth chart in that position. And, if they had to come onto the pitch during the knockouts, they definitely would. So that's why I'm calling it kind of like a 1B, 2A situation. You're not going to see guys like Roldan or, some of our our deeper players, buried in that bench. Like, let's see, who's a good example? Like a Chris Brady. Like, you're not going to see him get any time on the field. If I had to guess, or probably Zendejas as well, right? Like, it's going to be guys within reason. I think starting with goalkeeper, I think we should just keep Freeze. I see no reason why not to. He's building confidence, right? He just got that shutout. You might as well let him get some more reps. I wouldn't mind if you put Turner in for a little bit, because you never know when you're going to need Turner if something happens to Freeze in those knockouts. Turner's going to have to come in. It's also his birthday, by the way, so I guess happy birthday to him. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see both of them, but I would definitely go with Freeze to start. I just think you should keep building that confidence because he's been doing a really, really good job. And I think if you just give him that extra game time, even if it's just the first 45 or the first 70, 75, whatever you want to do, I think it's still a good idea. Give Turner the time too if he needs it. Right. But I think you'll see Freeze. Getting into right back, I think I want to say you start Joe Scally at right back. Right, he came off the bench against Australia. He's definitely our 1B, 2A fullback. This allows basically Dest or Freeman, I guess whoever you really want to be giving a rest there, to just get a breather. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes with the goalkeeper era where Dest or Freeman get that first 45 and then Scally comes on just to get his feet fresh and give him some more World Cup experience, because you never know again when you're going to need him. But don't be surprised if you see Joe Scally tomorrow. I thought he played pretty well in his time on the pitch against Australia, so hats off to him. At center back, it's a little more. I think you won't see our starters. I think you're going to see Trusty and Robinson. As much as I don't want Robinson on the pitch, if you want to hear all about him, I believe episode, I want to say 16 with Jack Kavanaugh, where we break down the 26-man roster, maybe 15 at this point. Miles Robinson is not very good. For obvious reasons. I'm not going to rip into him now, excuse me. But I think at center back, you start Robinson and Austin Trusty. Why, right? Richards is on a yellow card. And Tim Ream, I don't think he should be playing 270 minutes in a week, basically in 2 weeks at this age. I think Robinson and Trusty are good enough, right? Again, this game literally doesn't matter. I think for Richards, you give him the break because you don't want him picking up another yellow, and then for Ream, you don't want him playing that full 270. And then with these new rules too, it's the yellow card rules. It's incredible. It's remarkably low for a major tournament to have the threshold, which is why we need to be really, really careful playing our players who have yellows or picking up dumb yellows, like I've talked about. Right. So just 2 single yellow cards in separate matches during, the group stages will trigger an automatic 1-match ban no matter what. But because the tournament's been expanded to 48, adding like the extra round of 32. So in that group stage, right, if a player gets 2 yellows, so Adams has one, say for whatever reason, he's dumb enough to pick up another yellow in the group stage, they miss the next match, which would be the round of 32 against likely opponent Bosnia, which would be not very good. Right. We can't underestimate this Bosnian team. This is the Bosnia team that denied Italy from going to the World Cup. And yes, I know Italy's missed 3 consecutive World Cups, but Italy is still Italy. They are the second reigning champions of the Euros and what I guess was 2022, but basically 2020. or yeah, right. So, again, Bosnia's still a good team. Again, I digress, but right, if a player gets 2 yellows in the group stage, they're missing the next match, which now, right, it's not that third game. If Adams or Richards or whoever picks up that yellow, you're missing a knockout game. However, right, that knockout window, if we don't play guys like Richards and Adams and Balogun, they only have 1 card during the group stage. Once it hits the knockouts, so 32 through quarterfinal, that 2-card yellow or the 2-card yellows basically resets. So if they don't pick up another yellow in game 3, you come in to game the round of 32 with having 0 yellow cards and getting a fresh slate. So this is why it's so important, and I think we're really going to be playing this 1B 2A type of lineup, is because you cannot risk having some of your best players, and basically all of our best players have yellows, right? Balogun, Robinson, Chris Richards, Tyler Adams, just the ones I can name off the top of my head that picked up yellows in game 1 and 2. You cannot, even flirt with the idea of having them not play in the knockouts. So we got to be really, really careful there. That's why I don't think Chris Richards will play, because he's on that yellow. Again, Tim Ream just is older. I think you give him a break anyway. Let the younger guys go. Same thing at left back. I think you probably play Max Arfston, or maybe you put Trusty out there and shuffle around the back line. But that's just right because Anthony Robinson's on that yellow. You got to protect Robinson. You really, really need him. He is such a crucial part of our attack into the knockouts that we cannot afford to not be playing him. So obviously I think you go with Austin there. We're going right on the defensive midfield. Again, same thing. Tyler Adams, you sit him. You don't want him getting that second yellow. He's got that history of picking up really dumb yellow. That's how he got his first one, just being an idiot, right? So you play Berhalter. You let Adams sit. You let him readapt, get ready for the round of 32. And I don't even think Berhalter's been playing that bad. I've been pleasantly surprised by him from what I've seen from the friendlies coming up to the World Cup and then the actual run time he got in both World Cup games. So definitely expect to see Berhalter. I think you're still going to see Malik Tillman in the midfield. He started against Australia, against Paraguay. But I think you kind of shift him deeper into more of like that box to box role that McKennie has. And I think you let McKennie rest entirely. I think it's good to see what Tillman can do, because he's played, really well in kind of that cam role, that 8, being offensive, but you want to see what he can do box to box. And I think, there's no reason to play McKennie. I think he's going to be fine. I think you give McKennie the complete rest. And I think you kind of move Tillman around more of the defensive midfield and see how he fares, maybe even as a Tyler Adams backup, right? If something goes wrong there. And then that allows you to put on at attacking mid, you put on Reyna, you put on Gio Reyna. And you can do that because now Tillman is not playing that attacking mid. Tillman fills in for McKennie, and you get Reyna to get some real run time. Right? He had that beautiful goal, probably the best goal of the US's tournament run so far. And I think he's going to have, he played against Australia. I think he's got a lot of that confidence back from, losing it basically from the last World Cup and all the drama until now. So I think you play Reyna and Tillman, and you get the best of both worlds. And I think you let Reyna really go to work, and you give him the opportunity to show you what he can do. Right. This is a tough Turkish defense. And so I think it's basically a perfect test for a 1B, 2A guy like Reyna to show Poch that, hey, like, I am a viable option, that I deserve real play time. And, maybe I can be a really good attacking threat. And if we need a goal, maybe that's say come the knockout rounds, we're chasing a goal. You get, McKennie off, or you get Adams off, and you play Tillman and Reyna as 2 really aggressive attacking midfielders, right? I'm again just speculating, not saying that they would do that, but I think this is Reyna's chance to really show them why. And then on the left wing, I think you play Brennan Aronson. I think you let him get some real time. I want to play Pulisic there, though, for the first 45. Again, I don't think we should be resting him for basically 2 to 3 weeks. So I think you give Pulley the first 45, and then you let Aronson go to work and really show, he's been really good, I believe, at Leeds, and we got some time at Norwich and whatnot. So, just like Reina, I think this is his chance to have that second half to show Poch that he's a true viable attacking threat, and that he really can be subbed on if it comes down to that, and we shouldn't have to stress about him coming onto the field. And then I think you do the same exact thing on the right wing. I think you let Tim Weah, back into that lineup. He was really our guy in Qatar in 2022. He's regressed, I guess, but I think you give him a full 60 or 90 minutes ahead Pepe or Balogun to get actual game time. Because if you could have Tim Weah back at the level that he was firing at in the 2020 and 2021, 2022, the Gold Cup run, the World Cup run, I think it's just so dangerous to have him, Pepe, and Balogun all for the knockout rounds. So I really want Tim Weah to get some run on the right wing is where I would put him. I'm really excited. Again, I think a lot of these guys can pan out. We're going to have a really deep attack. And then just right up top, I think you put Haji Wright. I mean, right, Balogun's on that yellow card. Pepe's had a big workload. I think you give Pepe a rest. And then I think Wright it's a cool experiment with him because he's a more like different, kind of like a Gyökeres or a Holland where he's really, really physical, not the most technical, but he's going to lead that front line. He's going to get you good hold-up plays, going to allow the attack to develop. I mean, this guy scored 18 goals for Coventry City, setting a single season record for Coventry City, basically single-handedly getting them promoted to the Premier League. And you can expect, I think, a big Premier League season out of Haji Wright, and then hopefully a big Prem move, depending on how Coventry do, of course, which I don't think they're going to do too hot, but I hope Haji Wright does well. Anyway, I think you get Haji Wright some actual game time. You got him up there in Australia to, just disrupt the game and not let them build. And, he did exactly that in a game where there's really no stakes besides just carrying on good momentum and, high vibes. I think there's no reason not to play an entirely new line. So I would be really excited to see basically a front midfield and forwards of Berhalter, Tillman, Weah, Reina, Aronson, and Wright. I think these guys do have it. So, I mean, we'll see when it comes game time. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not all of these guys and it's kind of more of a mix of some of the starters in there, but I really don't think any of the guys with yellows should be playing. So Balogun, Tyler Adams, N.T. Robinson, Chris Richards, I really don't think they should see the field, and I hope they don't because, of course, if you're Poch, you can tell them, hey, guys, no yellows, and, they can consciously keep that in the back of their mind. But if they just get stuck into one bad tackle and it's a spur-of-the-moment thing and they pick up that yellow, right, they're gone. So I think they should come nowhere close to touching the field. Again, we'll see at 10 p.m. tomorrow night. Moving on to Turkey, though, very shocking what's going on with them and very disappointing, I have to say. A dark horse coming out of UEFA, Adra Güler, right? Everyone's like, these guys are going to top Group D. There was a lot of hype around them. And then they shoot the ball. They have 62 shots in 2 games and 0 goals, right? That 2-0 loss to Australia and then a 1-0 loss to a 10-man Paraguay. It's absolutely insane that they shot the ball 62 times and did not score. According to Opta, which is like the statistics tracker for FIFA, this is the highest number of shots taken without scoring by any team in a 2-match span in World Cup history since records began in 1966. Also the last time England won the World Cup, 1966. So absolutely insane that they fired 62 shots and have not found the back of the net once. It's even worse with that Paraguay game. Right, crucial second match, basically like do or die. You really want the 3 points. A draw will keep you alive. Turkey had basically 79% possession, 32 shots, XG of 2.9. They played against 10 men for the entire second half, and they put 5 of those 32 shots on target, didn't score once, and lost 1-0 to a 10-man Paraguay. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. I do not understand. And I guess they got unlucky, right? Because 64 seconds in, a minute 4 seconds into that Paraguay game, Galarraza just absolutely striped one in the back of the net. And, fastest goal of the tournament so far. And Turkey had 89 minutes and 45 of those 89 against 10 men to to an all right. It wasn't even that good of a Paraguayan low block. Like Australia kind of showed them levels in terms of low blocks, I guess, if that even exists. But just very disappointing from Turkey. I'm absolutely shocked they couldn't put one in the back of the net against a 10-man Paraguay. Again, these people were hyping up Turkey. They said U.S. is getting grouped and, Turkey and Paraguay are going through, blah, 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 blah. And now to be mathematically eliminated before match week 3 even happens is absolutely insane. And then I guess I haven't explained it. If you don't know, with the new World Cup format, head-to-head is now the new tiebreaker, not the goal differential and then goals forwarded or whatnot, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think you should be rewarded for beating teams head-to-head, not for, imagine smashing Turkey, 3-0, but Turkey just beats up on Australia's low block like 7-0 and goes through before you because they beat up on a weaker team, right? It's absolutely absurd. I think that really it was ever like that. So rewarding head-to-head, play absolutely matters. And because Turkey already lost to both Paraguay and Australia, no matter what happens, even if they beat us, they won't be able to leapfrog Paraguay, who I believe is in third, while Australia sits second. So, I mean, just absolutely insane that they are already done with their tournament. So I'm sure, right, they're going to come out fiery, angry. Again, why you don't want to play your starting lineup. Who knows how Turkey's going to approach this game, if they're going to be reckless with their tackles, just being foolish, trying to hurt people, if they're going to be fiery, baiting you into getting cards and scuffles and whatnot. So just because of how uncertain it is, I really don't think we should be doing anything too bold with our lineup. And I think you play the backup guys, protect your starters, especially Pulisic. I'm a little worried about him, that you never know who's going to take a shot at him or whatnot. Their World Cup's over. They really don't care anymore, to be honest. So we'll see. Again, 10 p.m. tomorrow. Tune in. Should still be fun, whether it's a friendly or not. Still the U.S. playing in the World Cup. One of our best teams, probably, maybe, I'm going to knock on wood before I say ever, because we have a long road ahead of us, but it looks really good. I will say that. Before we end, I'm just going to, around the World Cup, of course, how can we not talk about Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, and Haaland, right? Messi with 5 goals through 2 games, Mbappe with 4 through 2, Haaland already Norway's top scorer in World Cup history and all time. I think he has like 56 and 52 games for Norway or something. He has 4 goals. And then Ronaldo, after a slow start against Congo, just bagged 2 against Uzbekistan in their game yesterday. It's just, what a privilege. I mean, right, to be watching the new and the old generation just go absolutely head to head. People give a lot of criticism about the strength of opponent, right? So Ronaldo, his only 2 goals are against Uzbekistan, who is the 58th ranked FIFA team in the world. So he's kind of farming against just absolute fodder countries. He scored 0 goals against Congo, who's the 47th team in the world. So I'm not super moved personally by Ronaldo's performance. Like, he's walking around, everyone's saying he's back, blah, blah, blah. Like, he couldn't score a single goal against Congo, and he scores a brace in a 5-0 win against the 58th ranked Uzbekistan national team. And, I'm really not too moved, to be honest. As for Haaland, though, and Mbappe being in the same group, right? Mbappe and Haaland both bagged 2 against Senegal and 2 against Iraq. Senegal's 19th in the world. So I think that's pretty impressive, especially on the world stage. Basically, AFCON champion Senegal, who's just a really, really solid team. For having both of them to bag 2 is just absolutely insane. I'm glad to see Norway just firing. It was probably a pretty tough group to be in with France and Senegal. And, Iraq can always do damage despite being, the 60th team in the world. They can still cause problems, whatever. But yeah, I mean, props to Haaland and props to Norway and Mbappe. Both put 2 past Senegal. They both put 2 past Iraq. But again, that doesn't really move me. As to Messi, 3 versus Algeria, the hat trick, of course, who's 28th in the world. And then 2 versus Austria, who's 23rd in the world. And obviously that one missed pen, he could have had back-to-back hat tricks, would have been absolutely insane. I'm probably the most impressed by Messi just because I think Algeria and Austria are the two tougher teams here, I guess, outside of Senegal. Because, like I said, I'm not moved by Uzbekistan, Congo, Iraq, whatnot. So, um, absolutely insane that Messi's broken the goal record. He has 18 in the World Cup all time. Then, of course, Mbappe is right on his tail with, I believe, 16. He's tied with Klose right now for a joint second place. Of course, Mbappe, I think, has 16 goals in 16 games, while Messi has like 18 and 28. So it's going, I think Mbappe is obviously going to smash the record. He's got at least 3 more World Cups, I think, to play. And he just, no matter what's going on, he always turns up for the World Cup. So absolutely insane that he's got 16 on, I believe, 16 games. And then Ronaldo, first player to score in 6 World Cups. Regardless of what you want to say, that's still incredibly impressive. Messi, despite playing in 6 World Cups, he did not score in South Africa in 2010, and it was a really disappointing showing. So he does not get to claim that record, of course, unless he scores in, I guess it would be 2030, which is, I think, Saudi Arabia. Someone can fact check me on that, though. But yeah, congrats to Ronaldo. First player to ever score in 6 World Cups. The longevity is absolutely insane. 41 years old, still doing it. Messi's, I think, 38, bagging hat tricks and leading, the Golden Boot race right now in the tournament. So, absolute hats off to those guys. And then the younger generation just pulling up the wagon behind them. Future's bright for world football, no doubt. In other words, right, Haiti, absolute heartbreaker today. The game just finished before it came up to your record. They were up 2-0 against Morocco. I really thought they were going to do it, put Scotland in some hot water, because Scotland just lost 3-0, got smashed by Brazil, which stinks because I love the Scots. They had a great time here in Boston. It was awesome hanging out with them. But finishing in third, I can pick up the standings now, actually, because those games are over. But right, Morocco down to nothing, scores 4 unanswered. Absolutely, crushes the wind out of Haiti's windpipes, which is horrible. Haiti finishes the tournament on 0 goals, a -6 goal differential, scoring only 2. Still very cool to see a team like Haiti, really test some of the best teams in the world, and Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and whatnot. So hats off to them. But a really, really tough way to end your World Cup hopes, blowing that 2-goal lead and then allowing 4 unanswered. As it stands, of course, Morocco's got the Scotland's got the upper hand right now, of course, because they have that third game played. They are in a qualified third spot. They do have a -3 goal differential, so I'm going to scroll through here quickly for other third place teams. Right, Czechia's only at and of course, Scotland has 3 points, may I add, with that win over Haiti. So, Bosnia's probably already qualified. Paraguay looks like they'll qualify, but you have a lot of teams in third on 1 point. So I think Scotland should be good. Crossing my fingers. I'd really like to see them into the knockouts, but I think it's going to be close. They're going to have to wait and watch to see what everybody else can do. But that's all I have for now for episode. I believe this is 20, which is pretty cool to say that we've made it through 20 episodes of the Green Line Gazette podcast. Again, thank you guys for supporting. As always, I really appreciate you guys taking a listen, whether you're riding the Green Line into Boston for work every morning or driving through Western Mass doing your thing. We appreciate the viewership and all the support. So remember, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Substack. This was episode 20. Give us a follow at Green Line Gazette on Instagram. I will see you after the Turkey game for a recap and then probably a prep for Bosnia, because it seems like that's really who we're going to play. That's all for now. Thank you for listening and have a good night.